There we go. This week's Parsha is Parsha's VaEirah. And in Parsha's VaEirah, we have the first 7 plagues, 7 makos in Mitzrayim, in Egypt. Of those 7, the last one is borad. Borad is hail. But it was not a typical kind of hail that fell in Mitzrayim. It was really of a miraculous nature. The miracle was that it was both fire and water mixed together, and it endured. The ice and the fire together came down, striking the Egyptians and causing a tremendous amount of damage. Now, the Torah says, very interesting here. I'll first read it in Hebrew, then I'll translate it. This is toward the end of the Parsha in Pasuk Lamed Aleph. Va'pishta v'hasora nukosa ki hasora avi va'pishta givo v'achita v'akusemes lo nuku ki apilos heina. That means the flax and the barley were struck, for the barley was ripe and the flax was in its stalk, meaning those 2 plants, they were already grown and firm. And because they were firm, when they were struck by the hail, they were destroyed. And the wheat and the spelt were not struck, for they ripen later. So the wheat and the spelt were out there in the fields, but they did not become struck by the hail because they were softer. They had not yet come to a stage where they were firm. In that they were softer, they were able to absorb the blow of the hail without snapping, without breaking. Now, when I think about this, I think there's an important lesson in here, which is, how do we define strength? Sometimes we define strength really kipshuto, person's very physically strong, or a material is very physically strong. And sometimes that is the kind of strength that we need. But other times, strength is more so contained in something softer because it can absorb the blow more so, and it survives. If something is too strong, it's hit and it breaks. But a person has the ability, I'm going to call it flexibility. Person has the ability to be flexible, to roll with the punches. Yeah, they get hit and they get struck, but they don't crack. The Gemara compares it to a reed, a kana, because a reed is soft. And when a strong wind blows, the reed just goes back and forth, but then when the wind stops, it's okay. Whereas something which is stronger will be blown over by the wind and it will die. The Jewish people are compared to a reed. The Chachamim say we're like a krumi, Shalkana, we're like a reed. That the strong winds of history blow across us and we do bend and we do fall, but we just like the reed, we rise back up. Each plague in Mitzrayim, the Pri Tzaddik says, was a makkah. It was something which hurt and destroyed Mitzrayim. And the very same plague was a refuah. It was something healing and beneficial for the Jewish people. And if we look into the makos carefully, we'll see how the very same thing in this direction is destruction, and in this direction is healing, refuah. So in this way, the 7th plague, this miraculous plague of hail, the Jewish people were given its lesson. Who was the stronger nation? On the surface, the Mitzrayim, the Egyptians, were the world power. No one ever escaped from Mitzrayim. The Jews were slaves. We would say on the surface that the Egyptians were stronger. But in actuality, Hashem was showing to the Jewish people that you are stronger. Because the ability to be flexible and to be able to roll with the punches and rise back up, that's the kind of strength that a person has to endure. And this has been an enduring quality of the Jewish people throughout history, that our roots are very, very deep. We have that kind of strength in our roots. Our roots are very deep and are very strong, and those roots are invulnerable. That's Matan Torah, the giving of the Torah to the Jewish people. That is the precious strength of the Jewish people. But outside of the roots, when we are visible to the world, we don't look that strong, small nation. Our strength there lies in the depth and the power of our roots, and in the ability above the ground to be able to be strong, but also soft, to absorb the blows and move forward in life. We do that as a people, and we do that as individuals as well. Then we'll sing L'Chadodi to, on this Erev Shabbos, begin to greet Shabbos Kodesh. L'Chadodi l'ikras kaladi rabbi di pnei Shabbos l'kabela di-di-di-di-dam bye-bye l'Chadodi l'ikras kaladi bye-bye pnei Shabbos l'kabela Aishamar v'zachar b'ni borachat Ishmiyanu kel amiyuchadayar Didiram babam Dididiram bye-bye Hashem echad Shemaya L'shem U'l'siferes L'lisila L'chadaydi L'kiras kala Pnei Shabbos l'kabelan Di-di-dam bye-bye di-di-dam Di-di-di-dam bye-bye Di-di-dam bye-di-di-dam Di-di-dam bye-bye Ovi b'shalom ateres bala Kamerina u'b'tzahala Di-di-dam bye-bye Ay, tochem munei Am segula b'vichala Shabbos makisa Ay, l'chadaydi L'kiras kala Pnei Shabbos l'kabelan Di-di-di-di-dam di-di-dam Di-di-di-di-dam bye-bye Di-di-dam bye-da-da-da Di-di-dam bye-dam bam Di-di-dam bam-bam-bam Di-di-di-dam bam Di-di-da-da-da-da-da-da-dam bye-di-bam Di-di-dam bam Di-di-dam bye-bye Di-di-di-dam bye-di-da-da-da-dam bam Di-di-dam bye-da-da-da-dam bye-di-da Di-di-bam bye-bam Di-da-da-yam bam-bam-bam Di-di-bam Di-di-di-dam bye-bye Di-di-dam bye-di-di-da Di-da-bam bam-bam Di-da-dam bam-bam Di-di-dam Di-di-di-dam bye-bye Im-bam bye-bam Di-di-da-da-da-da-da. I get Erev Shabbos to everybody. Wanted to put forth another word about the Borad, this miraculous plague of the hail. If you count the plagues, of course there are 10. If you count them in their relationship to the midos, or the spheros, the Hasidic Sforim tell us that each one of the plagues corresponds to one of the spheros from the bottom up. And therefore, the seventh plague corresponds to the midah of chesed. To go up the chart of the midos, from Malchus upward, number 7 will be chesed. Chesed we define as kindness, love, giving outward, that whole range of kindness, loving kindness, chesed. So in accordance with the principle that we mentioned before, that each makkah in Mitzrayim was a blow for the Egyptians and a refuah of beneficial healing powers to the Jewish people, that means that this occurred in each one of the midos which construct the human personality. So as the Egyptian culture was step by step being decimated, the Jewish people was step by step being built and developed and formed, one step at a time. The 7th one is the midah of chesed. So that means during this plague of borod, hail, our midah of chesed was developed in a very profound way. How do we see it, especially hinted to in what borod was? As I mentioned before, borod was a combination of eish and mayim, fire and water, which really is miraculous. One should outpower the other, but they didn't. Now that means that the power of eish and the power of mayim, eish and fire and water, were living in harmony. We have a reference to this. Oseh shalom bimromav, we say in our tefillah, Hashem makes shalom in his high places. What is the shalom that God makes in his high places? Our chachamim say, bein sar shel eish l'sar shel mayim, that God makes harmony between the malach of fire and the malach of water, the angel of fire and the angel of water. The angel of fire is Gavriel, the angel of water is Michoel. The angel of fire, Gavriel, is the power of Din, and the angel of water, Michoel, is the power of Chesed. So God makes harmony between these two forces, Chesed and Din, or giving and restraining. Those are two fundamental human qualities, to put forth or to hold back, giving and restraining. We have seen and learned many times over the years that to develop a personality trait, a midah, properly, we have to have balance. And when midos are properly balanced, that's the Jewish way. We can't be exclusively kind because that's not healthy. We always have to have some boundaries in our kindness. That creates proper structure. We can't be completely boundaries and limitations. That leads to cruelty, selfishness. There's always this back and forth, this balance, which is fluctuating, dynamic, how much we give forth and how much we hold back between chesed and din. This is the Jewish way, to be able to properly balance the trait. The Egyptian society was known as a society of moral corruption, ervas ha'oretz. Now, moral corruption in the physical sense, in the sexual sense, means that there's no boundaries on people's sexual behavior, their physical behavior. It's the midah of chesed gone wild, without any restraint, any context, any sense of structure. So that's immorality. Hashem is telling the Egyptians that he's going to blend the power of chesed and the power of din, fire and water, giving and restraining, to demonstrate what a true midah is, what true love is, that we love and we also have boundaries. That midah, that plague, was destruction for Egypt because they were not about balance at all. It was about extreme. They were extreme in their physical behavior. They were extreme in their treatment of the Jewish people. There's no balance. So Hashem took this fire and water, put them together miraculously. The lesson to the Egyptians, indeed in this situation, a destructive one, was that your culture, your society, which does not know anything about balance and nuance, is being destroyed. And the Jewish people are being built up with the proper balance of Eish and Mayim, Chesed and Gevura, restraint and kindness. That's where holiness lies. And therefore, in this seventh plague, which is the last one for this week's Parsha VaEirah, directed to the Midah of Chesed, God was telling us our Chesed needs to have boundaries and balance. Be loving, be kind, be good, and know the proper constraints upon your kindness. That's why that plague was refuah, was healing for the Jewish people, and destroyed the Egyptians because they represented just the opposite. May we be zoche in all of our midos to be able to have the wisdom, the insight, the strength from Hashem to find the proper balance between our midos, which is a lifelong endeavor. May we all be zoche. Well, going into Shabbos, I thought it would be nice this week to sing one of the Shabbos Amiros. I'm going to sing Yom Zeh Mechubad, and this is a Yom Zeh Mechubad I learned a long time ago when I was a child. We used to sing this back at home in my father's house, Zichrono Livracha, and some of you may know it, but it's not so commonly sung nowadays, so I want to share it with you. Yom Zeh Mechubad Mikol Yamim Mikol Yamim Ki Vashavas Surai Lamim Surai Lamim Sheishes Yamim Tasem Laktecha Yom Ashvi Leila Kefa Shabbos L'Sahasevai Melacha Ki Chalas Sheishes Yamim Yom Zeh Mechubad Mikol Yamim Mikol Yamim Ki Vashavas Surai Lamim Surai Lamim Rishon Lamikol HaKodesh Yom Shabbat Son Yom Shabbat Kodesh Alken Kalish V'yeino Yekadesh Al Shtei Lechem Yivse Usemimim Yom Zeh Mechubad Mikol Yamim Mikol Yamim Ki Vashavas Surai Lamim Surai Lamim Echo Mashmanim Sheseim Amtakim Ki Kaitel Lechabod Veikim Begel Habayish Lechem Chukim Basar V'Dagim V'Chol Matamim Yom Zeh Mechubad Mikol Yamim Mikol Yamim Di-da-da-da-da Ki Vashavas Surai Lamim Surai Lamim Lo secher kabay v'yachalta v'savata uveirachta es Hashem Elokecha asher ahaveta ki veirachecha mikol ha'amim Yom Zeh Mechubad Mikol Yamim Mikol Yamim Di-da-dam Ki Vashavas Surai Lamim, Surai Lamim. Hashamayim Mesabrim Mesabrim Kavayna Gam Haaretz malachastai. Ruki chalayla asesayadai. Kihu atzur pa'alan samin. Yam zamechu bad mikayamin. Mikayamin. Di-da-da-da-da. Kivai shavas. Surai lamim. Surai lamim. Okay, wishing everybody a very beautiful, thank you, Erev Shabbos and a good Shabbos. Please unmute so we can say a wonderful night and a good Shabbos to one and all. Great to see you.
Good
Hey,
Shabbos.
wonderful Shabbos.
Thank you, Rabbi Rabbi. Have a wonderful Shabbos.
Chodesh
Chodesh Tov.
everybody.
Chodesh Tov.
Chodesh Tov. We're getting Chodesh and getting Shabbos.
Good Shabbos, everybody. Shabbos.
All good things to everybody.
I like the background.
Shabbos, everybody.
Where are you?
See you.
Where are you?
Absolutely.
Peabody Library.
Oh, beautiful.
Salamis is reading a lot of books now.
Yeah. Mostly about how to use green screen.
Shabbos.
You too, everybody. Nice
Shabbos.
Shabbos.
Thank you.
Shabbos.